Thank you. Pleased to take a call on the Kaikoura Titai o Marokura Marine Management Bill. And it is unusual to have such a short committee stage and no debate on the third reading. And the Green Party has agreed to this so that the bill can be passed by this Parliament and the marine protected areas which it establishes go into law before the House rises for the election campaign later today. And as the Minister and others have noted, the Kaikoura coast is unique because that very deep Kaikoura Canyon lies so close to shore. And it's the canyon with its rich marine life which is what attracts the whales, particularly the sperm whales, and they, of course, are the basis of the $30 million marine tourism industry, which is the basis of the whole economy for the township of Kaikoura. So this bill and the fact that it establishes the Hikurangi Marine Reserve, a whale sanctuary, a sanctuary for the fur seals, should help protect the base of that marine tourism industry. And as well, the bill establishes 2 Taipure areas and 3 Mataitai reserves, and they will certainly help to safeguard customary fishing and allow for the restoration of Ngāti Kuri's traditional rights in those areas. And as well, the bill does make some changes to the recreational fishing regulations, which should also benefit marine life in the area by reducing bag limits both for some species of shellfish and finfish. So the protected areas that the bill establishes are very welcome, but they are only the proverbial drop in the marine protection bucket, because the area of territorial sea and the EEZ that we have protected in New Zealand is still 0.41%. And the Hikurangi Marine Reserve, as Kelvin Davis noted, is indeed a very odd-shaped drop in the bucket with this F lying on its side. And that's because, as we understand it, the boundaries were drawn to have the least impact on crayfishers and others, and they avoided 2 quite important seamounts. So it's been really disappointing that it's got these odd-shaped 12-sided boundaries, because as Department of Conservation officials recognised, that would make it much more difficult to enforce the prohibition on fishing within the marine reserve. And as submitters like the Marine Sciences Society and Forest and Bird noted, because you've got these odd 12-sided boundaries, it means that the edge effects from fishing outside the reserve will have an impact much further in the reserve than would otherwise occur. So the other thing that is disappointing is the lost opportunity when we've got the state highway along the coast and it's very easy for people to access the coast, that we've got less than 2 kilometres of the really dramatic Kaikoura coastline protected as part of the Marine Reserve. And again, we understand that was to protect the crayfishers, but visitors want to get up close and personal with nature in an unfished state. And given the importance of marine tourism to Kaikoura, it would have been a great opportunity to provide more chance for snorkelling and diving in areas where fishing doesn't occur. So we welcome the Minister's SOP 481, which reduces the review period from 25 years to 10 years. That's a very good initiative, because we hope that the Kaikoura community will recognise the major benefits of the Marine Reserve and will want to see more of the shoreline protected when it goes through that review. But these marine protected areas in this bill don't make up for the fact that National is encouraging high-impact exploitation and potential devastation of parts of our marine environment through its encouragement and promotion of deep-sea oil drilling and seabed mining. We've had 11 oil company executives wined and dined by the government, soliciting their oil rigs and their oil drills. They will put our coasts at risks of a catastrophe like the Deepwater Horizon. The Green Party wants clean beaches that are safe from oil spills, no deep-sea oil drilling. But National, with its encouragement of deep-sea oil drilling, risks our beaches being smothered with a thick and deadly blanket of oil if we have a catastrophe like the Deepwater Horizon. And while we're establishing in this bill a fur seal sanctuary, Mr Chair, Mr Chair.
Eugenie Save.
Thank you, Mr Chair. On the one hand, on the other hand, the government has failed to outlaw the deadly fishing methods like set netting on the west coast of the North Island to protect the threatened Maui dolphin. And as others have noted, we have more MPs now than we have Maui dolphin. The Green Party announced yesterday its plan to protect Maui dolphin and to make that sanctuary a real safe haven by outlawing set netting and trawl netting and providing assistance to fishers to move to dolphin-safe methods. So while this minister is certainly an enthusiast for marine reserves, of course it was a previous minister that rejected the Akaroa Marine Reserve. And even with this 4,000 even with this marine reserve at over 1,000 hectares, it's still very small compared to the area which National has opened up to oil exploration. And I've been on the Local Government and Environment Select Committee since 2011. First coming to that committee, we had a marine reserves legislation which had been languishing in front of the Select Committee and this Parliament for more than a decade. We have had repeated promises by National that we would have new marine reserves legislation introduced to this Parliament. And I expect the Minister will do it again at the EDS conference next week, tantalise the environmental sector with the prospect of better legislation for marine protection. We need that legislation to avoid ad hoc bills like this one. And so the other comment I'd like to make is that the bill provides for the establishment of an advisory committee, the Kaikoura Guardians, to advise the Ministers of Conservation and Fisheries. We hope that, given the international significance of the Kaikoura Canyon and the Hikurangi Marine Reserve, in protecting a small portion of it, that the ministers will recognise that it's not just the Kaikoura community which should be represented on the advisory committee, but the national interest and international interest in marine protection. We've got the University of Canterbury, which has had a long-standing teaching and research laboratory in Kaikoura, and it would be very useful to ensure that there is strong science representation on the Kaikoura Guardians, because this would help provide good, objective baseline research to help inform the review of the marine protected areas in 10 years' time, and it would help, we think, with the work that will be done by Ngāti Kuri and others in restoring the Taipure and the Mataitai areas and the fisheries in those. So good science is the basis of good management. As Gareth Hughes noted, we would have liked to have seen the whale sanctuary established under the Marine Mammal Protection Act so that it could have protected other species like the dusky dolphins. But we do acknowledge the work of the Minister in getting this bill through, and the work of officials, both here in Wellington and in Kaikoura when the Select Committee travelled there, and would also really like to acknowledge the huge amount of effort that the members of Te Korowai put into this, the numerous meetings, discussions, better understanding of the different points of view around the table, and that collaborative process is an improvement in terms of the opposition we've seen in the past to the establishment of marine reserves. But as we've said before, it does need to be done in the context of the Marine Protected Areas policy and the guidelines in that. But we applaud the work that everyone has done in getting the bill to this stage, and we look forward to it being passed. Thank you.
Reno Tirakardini.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair. It's a pleasure to stand in support of this